You know, when I look at the wall clock, the wall calendar I've got right here, what I notice is two things. One, it's Tuesday, and we're coming up on 2:00. Two, that's also December, where everything's a bit sleepier, but man, are we all still excited to be in comics. This is Comic Industry Insiders Live, our weekly foray into the news of comics. And this week we're going to talk about a lot of stuff that's happening, but we're also going to wrap up what the year looked like. And but right this second, we're gonna go do our pre-show banter section. We're gonna bring in some of our favorite crew just to talk about, I don't know what's going on this week. So let's bring him in, shall we? Mr. Gabe Yoakum, our head of sponsorships, the man. I did you first because you're in the mid-sip. The man who helps us put things together for Comics the Magazine and Prana. How you doing, buddy?
Wonderful. It's been a hell of a 5 days, that's for sure.
Crazy little run.
I am very excited about this particular episode, about what's about to come, and I've reached out to the heads of Google to gird the loins of my inbox, and it's Gabe at pranadm.com. Anybody watching from a publisher, go ahead and write that down before we get into the meat of the show. So
I like that. This is a man who can help you make sure that your brand, your property, the thing you're selling to comic shops, to comics fans, will be in front of them in Comics the Magazine. He's on right here on the screen. All right. This week, we've got a pretty nice little crew of Comics the Magazine folks. The guy who's going to be handling our social media, Mr. Blake Morgan.
Hey!
What is up with that? What is this hat that you're wearing? This is not a nerd hat. What is
this? It's just the Chiefs.
Oh.
Even though we lose and Patrick blew out his ACL, I still love them, and they keep my head warm.
It's a sports nerds thing. It's what you are. Yeah. I got you.
Also, my name is Blake, and my email is blake@pranadm.com. My phone number is 816. Just kidding. I thought we were sharing personal information. I was
what's on your T-shirt today, my friend?
UFOs.
Oh, okay. No comics anywhere on Blake.
The place. Yeah,
that's so weird. I don't know. This is a weird day. Guaranteed to have comics in her background somewhere. Megan, who is here to remind us all to do our homework.
Of course I'm going to have things. And since you said I was the MLM type pitcher, I have them on a Wham stand.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Rotates.
Everything's on a Wham stand.
Everything's on a Wham stand.
And you could be in Megan's downline if you join her right now in selling.
I don't think Moose has levels for us, but I think he might need to.
Listen. As long as it's a pyramid shape, you should be fine. You're gonna be near the top. You'll be fine. I want to make a joke about pyramid shapes, and but that feels like it would be very rude, so I'm not going to do that. I introduce this week's co-host, Mr. Joseph Keating.
What up? How's it going, folks?
It's a crazy week. We have a lot going on.
Yeah, dude. And just so I'm on theme, it's Joe at comicsthemagazine.com for all your editorial needs.
A basic 80s Megan, Megan.
We should just be changing our profile names to our email addresses now. Is that what it is? Yeah. Dude. Yeah. We are going to be talking about this week. We're going to be talking about the stories that defined the comics industry in 2025. We're doing this out of sheer naivete. Yes. Well, we think he has hair. He always wears that hat. So who knows? This is the real question. We're going to be talking about the stories that shaped 2025, but it's really optimistic because we don't know if there's going to be a complete shutdown in the next 2 weeks. I think that, we could be missing out on the biggest story just because that's what this year has done to us. Every week has been something that defines us, and getting it down to like 4 or 5 was difficult. So, yeah. Blake, Gabe, Megan, noticing Blake, Gabe, your handle there. What did we miss, by the way? You guys know what we're talking about. What do you think we missed in this week's rundown of the biggest stories?
Man,
I know.
I don't know. Blake really killed it with the deck. Got to say, spoiler alert! Like we're covering a lot of ground. You know, we're covering new books. We're covering the ongoing Diamond Saga, which I'll say, with over 20 years of experience in comics, I have completely lost the thread on this side. I've compared it to, like, I'll just wait till Game of Thrones is over. You know what I mean? Like, I'll watch whenever they do the TV adaptation. I'll just watch that.
Actually, you know what? Brian and I were discussing. Brian cannot be with us this week. He had some family issues he's got to deal with. But he and I are discussing. I think we're going to put together like an explainer video of the whole Diamond Saga, because it feels like we're getting towards the end, right? The Chapter 7 announcement really kind of means we're at the end of this, right? Am I not? Well, we'll dig into that. I don't know. You know.
Also, yes, editor-in-chief of Comics Magazine, Joe Keating, will be saving comics this week, and
the only thing that saves, here's my rant. I always tell Blake, I know we like Joe saving comics here. The only thing that saves comics are great comics. That's it. But I love the energy.
Hold on. I didn't think it was going to start this early. I got to go get my helmet on.
Yeah, because Joe gets Gabe all riled up. He's got to go run through some walls.
Oh my God.
Joe gets going and he becomes the Kool-Aid man. It is on.
Oh yeah.
There's just Gabe-shaped holes all over the house after Joe gets going. Say more, Joe. Let's go.
At my size, it doesn't take much to run through a wall. I'll be honest.
Megan, did we miss anything?
I think we have a pretty solid setup for what the big news of the year was. And I think it's well articulated between you and Joe, and like he said, the great deck that Blake built, really, with the humorous, with the memes. Memeing.
Yeah, but you were usually quick to point out what we're missing on like the small press side. Either you or Blake tells us that we're just not focusing on the man on the ground. You know what I'm saying?
With the small press, it's still figuring out the safest way to make sure your products are received by the customers in good shape at a fair price, and how to market them to make sure that they're available. Because we were talking beforehand, at Diamond, when I was brand manager, I had 107 publishers because of all the small press, and Lunar's being great with getting people in through Prana publishers and massive indies, but individual accounts, small press is smaller. So where does small press fit into this bubble right now is a big story. We can continue in 2026.
Yeah, dude, I hear you. I'm really pumped on Power Pulp right now.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I ordered one of their books, and to Megan's point, one of the things that really stuck out to me was that it was so well packed. Like, it was perfectly packaged. It was like an older comic from the 80s that they're kind of redistributing. Leo Derrick, it's like a spy book anyway, and Rugg was hyping it up. And it was like, not only do these guys distribute great books, like their lineup is killer, but again, it can't, like, the little details are right. Like Green M&M's story, you know what I mean, where it's like, the Van Halen always said they wanted the bowl of green M&Ms to write, not to be prima donnas, but they knew, like, if all those little details were lined up, their sound equipment was done safely and everything was going to be great, right? And to me, it's like, that's the equivalent. And so when I see if someone like Power Pulp, like, caring about those little details and like it arriving, you know, here, and like I had it like within days, you know, it's really impressive. So yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, that is the thing that separates them, right? Is it separates you in any field. If the details are important to you, then the rest of it becomes important, right? If you're working with somebody who's communicating to you that every detail is important, then you have faith in them. You have the faith that they are capable, right? Yeah.
I mean, even finding freight for trying to figure out how do I get my books from my warehouse to the distributor, who's got the better, who's going to kick it like Ace Ventura does in the beginning of the movie down the hallway, and then make the books arrive where you get 37% damages by the time it hits the warehouse.
It's true.
I think one thing we didn't. Well, I mean, we're going to touch on it like later, but it's more of like it's not really news. But it is something we learned in the last couple weeks. Is that like, a lot of indie creators and all of us, we all still have a lot of learning to do in regards to distribution and all these new players and continuously emerging players, but also, like shipping deadlines, printing deadlines. We found out some of this, a lot of people kind of get lost in that shuffle. And so, I think that's something we're going to take into. We already started in 2025. Adam was pushing Comics NBA, and the show tries very hard to educate and entertain weekly. But there's definitely a need and an interest in kind of comics education and production. Like a lot of people are just they're signing papers and then not knowing what to do. So
that's very true. That's very true. Speaking of signing, we are signing people up for Prana Publishers, and I think what we just learned from Megan is that we have room for another 103 of them.
That's a Keith question.
Just a hand? No, I mean it sounds to me like you have the personal bandwidth to handle that many, and I think that's wonderful. So,
I still have my diamond binder with my.
Once again, that's Megan at pranadm.com
or info@pranadm.com to get sent our survey about how you can be powered by Prana.
That's true too.
I think there's a very real sort of news story around the idea of this sort of continued leveling of the playing field because of things that, not to toot our own horn, but the stuff that we are doing, but also folks like Massive and things like that, where for the first time, indies, because of the amount of options that they have out there, have a bit more of a chance to actually get into comic shops so they can build their brand.
100%.
That's very true.
Speaking of which, here's a news item. We got these. I don't think we featured this on the show yet.
Oh, not.
I think this is the first. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is the first book that Prana DM, like a trade paperback collection, was really instrumental in putting together. Right?
Wow.
Yeah, trade paperback.
Yeah,
from the ground floor.
Yeah,
Well, this is the collection. The first 7 issues. The future is coming soon from Recca Comics. So.
That's right. Issue 8 is going to be in stores tomorrow, and then this trade paperback, which will have the first 7 issues, is going to be in stores next week. Now, we were planning on getting them both there, but let's just say, printers and distributors are not really talking like they used to. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Sick J. Lee cover on number 8, by the way.
Look at that. Look at that.
Comic shop exclusive.
There's also the Mario's cover, which is under a pile of other comics right now, but let me tell you, it is sick.
Yeah.
It flew a little under the radar too, but there's this new comics magazine coming out that I don't know if we're covering it today or not, but man, exciting announcement that is.
You mean this one?
Yeah, it's like from what I can tell, it's like the old wizard, or what did you say in the comments section, Adam? It's not the old wizard. It's
Wizard was the old comics, the magazine.
Thank you very much.
What I wanted to. I like mixing it up in the bleeding cool thing.
So it was so much fun.
Comments. Yeah. It's always fun. Every time we have a story, I love it because they all come in with doom and gloom, and I'm like, oh, really? Because I always feel like, oh shit, what is it? Damn it! Did I just use the word shit too early?
You did use the S word.
S word. Yes. Oh.
Blake,
yeah.
you need the Captain America language meme. Language.
All right. Well, I'm never going to remember what reference I was about to use because we are out of time for the pre-show banter. So let's mix it up, shall we?
We're long enough where you can curse. You can say.
Oh,
you can
thank
be
God.
free. You can be free, Adam.
Thank you, Kyle. God damn it.
Stay tuned. Big news.
All right, let's get the show started.
Let's go, baby.
Maybe. Hopefully. There we go.
Hey Hey, everybody. My name is Adam Freeman. This is Comic Industry Insiders Live, our weekly jaunt where we go through and look at everything that's happening in the comics industry and try to make some sense of it. Try to figure out what it is you need to be learning, what we need to be learning, what we can all do to make this industry just a little bit better this week. This week, we lost my usual co-host. I wore him out. Sometimes you have to bring in a spare, you send the other one out to be patched. No, Brian had a little family thing he had to go take care of. So we brought in somebody that I talked to arguably more than I talked to Brian Garside. We brought in Mr. Joe Keating.
Hello, sir.
Chief of Comics, the magazine, editor of The Future Is, Eisner award-winning editor for stuff that we haven't really been eligible for Eisners yet on the
Yep, but we are next time. I was thinking about that.
Yeah,
you got to put your 5 copies of each book aside right now and get those ready to
really? We got to keep 5 copies ready for that? Oh, damn. Okay. All right.
And this is the kind of subject matter we discuss on a day-to-day basis.
Yet is absolutely the question. Thank you for coming on and helping us out this week. I really appreciate it. You just kind of stepped in here at the last minute. So we've had a year, right? 2025, dude. It's just been a rocket that just keeps going. Like it's gone past orbit at this point. Like I can only thinking back on where we started. We started this broadcast actually on New Year's Day of this year. I want to say it was. Because Brian and I were talking about doing something, and we were talking about doing some sort of live show, and then I think we decided to do a New Year's Day show. We're just basically saying what's coming up, right? Who is our friends when it come on. And then right after that, the Diamond bankruptcy starts. The Chapter 11 gets announced, and suddenly this show that we thought was going to be maybe once a month went to once a week, and we've never had a lack of things to talk about.
No, dude, I was even thinking with I got a preview of the deck beforehand, and I was like, this thing is packed in terms of stuff that happened like just recently. Forget the whole entire year, Like Blake was putting together slides 5 minutes before this because we were getting press releases in of just cool stuff we had to cover. So it's a good time.
And I hate to say how often that comes in. We do try and give him as much as possible, as early as possible, but we do beat that poor boy like a redheaded stepchild, as we used to say. And I'm realizing now what a hateful phrase that is.
I'm not participating in that one, but
that's going to get me canceled. It's just the stories that defined our industry. That's the comics industry in 2025. As you can see, even though Brian's not here, Managed Comics still involved in this. The XP is giving us a platform to do this from, although it's broadcast over lots of different channels today. Although we're losing a couple. LinkedIn and Brian's Facebook are not up. Oh, well. Our company, Prana Direct Market Solutions, which Joe and I do a lot of work with for various different clients, and Comic Industry Insiders, which is our regular podcast that goes out once a week. So this is our live version of that. And this week, we're going to be talking about some very big news, including our very special co-host. But I think it's really fitting that you are our co-host this week, because our big news really happened because of the work we've been doing together. And I'm so incredibly proud of it. I have to say, I have to apologize to the audience. It is not our intention to make the news and report on the news. It's not our intention. It just happens to happen that way. It turns out you can't actually make a living out of reporting the comics industry news right now, but you can make a living doing stuff in the comics industry. And occasionally when it's newsworthy, you guys still have to report on it. And that's what we're doing. Then after all of that, we're going to get into what are the biggest headlines of 2025. How did our comics industry start? How did it end? And then next week, I don't want to get ahead of everything, but I think we're going to try and look to see what's coming next. But let's deal with the big news. First, I just want to give you, I always forget that I have to give this part, and I give myself a drum roll, and then I go through and do my little
but first,
The Prana Bullet, once again, we do this every week. We have a newsletter that we put out every Friday. It's essentially like an expanded version of what we do here on the show, where we give you a full list of all the big stories that we think are going to affect the comics industry and what you need to be paying attention to. After the first of the year, we're also going to be putting in the previous week's sales numbers from our POS systems that we work with, including Managed Comics and Comic Shop Assistant. It's, it is the tightest little nugget of information that we can put together that to go into your weekend so that you feel confident that you know what's happening in the comics industry and can keep your own business or career moving. And Brian, our co-host, is working on something very big. We are going to talk a little bit about how Diamonds did have a service that allowed people to set up their subscriptions to send them to comic shops. This thing called Comic Previews is what that is now. So you want to be signing up. If you're a store, you want to be signing up. If you're a fan, you want to be signing up. You want to be scanning this QR code and signing up. If you like comics, this is something you're going to be checking out because it's going to be something you're really dealing with on a basic, on a regular basis. All right. I think those are the two things I always forget that we're going to be doing. All right. Let's talk about it. Comics, the magazine. What am I looking at here, Joe? What is this?
This is the cover of Lunar Distribution's next catalog. Features all their publishers. And the cover, yes, is Comics, the magazine, #1. The cover of which you may be familiar. It's a little book called Absolute Batman. The cover art is Nick Dragotta of Absolute Batman fame and art director of Comics, the magazine, Rico Renzi. I mean, I don't even know what to say, dude. It's just such a huge honor that Lunar reached out and was like, we want to feature this on the cover. So, yeah, thanks that whole team. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Christina. Thank you, everybody. Like that was
seriously
amazing. Yeah,
we've been very lucky working with them, and they're a fantastic crew. Yeah. Comics the magazine, as we announced last week on Friday, is going to be out in stores in March. I am the publisher, Joe is the editor, and we just happen to be reporting on the biggest story of comics right now that happens to be us. Comics the magazine. Will you tell everybody really quickly what is Comics the magazine and why should they care?
Comics the magazine is a genuine enthusiasm for comic books in print month after month. We're going to be talking about the biggest books that you've heard of with the creative teams. We're going to talk about books you haven't heard of. Like we're going to talk about, it's basically Wizard's the old Comics the magazine. That's kind of the line we've been saying internally. We love Wizard.
That's right.
Wrong. But it's basically, look, it's a one-stop shop to learn about what's happening in comics, what's coming up in comics. Like, it's the place to go. It's the centralized hub of all things comic books right now. So we've got some killer features. We've got some reviews. We've got we're gonna have an art tutorial in the first issue. I'm not gonna say by who, but it's pretty awesome. We're gonna be serializing something pretty awesome by our buddy Rob Guillory. Tony Fleece, who we're gonna be talking about more in a second, is also doing a little something for us. Anyway, it's packed, guys. And the mission, last thing. Please. It's all about the work. It's all about comics. There's nothing else in here. This is it. Right. That's the target. So if you're excited about reading more comics, this is the place to find out about it.
Joe does this amazing job of like being our head coach, where he's like, we're fucking talking about comics. It's just comics. We're not talking about we're not getting involved in politics. We're not getting involved in any of the other sideline that carries on with comics. This is just about the work.
People ask me what kind of comics you guys are going to cover. Here's my big description. You ready? Is it good? Is it great? That's what I want to cover. Those are my parameters. I want great work. I don't care who's making it. I want great work that people are going to get excited about. That's it. So that's what we're doing.
Couple quick FAQs, and I promise we'll move on. We're not going to make this once a week an ad for Comics the magazine. But a couple of quick FAQs. One, it'll be out through Lunar Distribution. Obviously, we have the cover. It will be out through Universal through their U.S. distribution. No, we don't plan on doing any subscriptions directly to fans. We want our stores to be able to be that hub. And so you should be asking the stores right now about your subscriptions. You absolutely should be doing that. 3 let's see what else. Yes, there'll probably be there. Yes, there's going to be a price guide. Yes, where there is going to be a checklist of things that you should be getting in your store. Yeah, they're going to be all the features that we love. Classifieds. Tell you what, right this second, just to prove that if you're hearing this and you're an audience member, I'm going to make one offer one time. And if you're hearing this, I want you to send us a classified ad between. I'm doing this right now, Joe. All right,
Wow.
you ready?
This is
Classified
not
ad.
this is not prepared.
This is not prepared. I'm making this up. You know why? Publisher. Okay. Between let's call it 25 and 100 words. Okay. Send it to info@pranadm.com. We'll add you into you'll get a free classified ad. We're going to be selling classifieds later on, but you'll get a free one just for watching the show and hearing what I just said. Make sure you mention you heard about it here though, because I don't want everybody diving in on this one, because we'll run out of room. So there you go. Mention the show. That's right. There you go. Thank you. Okay, there we go. Not a 50-page price guide. Don't worry. That's correct. What Gabe had. All right. Let's move on, shall we? Because I don't necessarily want this to be a completely advertorial for our magazine.
Yeah.
Our friends at DC, man, they are just killing.
Yeah.
Killing.
Yeah.
Tell us about the announcement that just came out.
So this
Yeah.
This was one of them that our buddies at DC sent us the press release on, like moments before the show started. It's an insane lineup. We've got Scotty Young. He's writing Lobo with Jorge Corona, and then Greg Rucka is back on Batwoman with Danny. And I mean, look, it's just truth matter is Tony Fleece, who you know from Stray Dogs, also writing for Comics the Magazine, is writing Deathstroke. Like, dude, like we talked about when Baltimore Comic came out, DC is just pulling every single lever right now with their books.
They are.
And it's just, I mean, I don't know, like the way they're talking about making these like creator-driven books on established characters. Obviously, it's worked out great for the Absolute books. To see the same sort of editorial edict go on to the main line, is just wild. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm pumped for these guys right now. Like, they're really throwing down the gauntlet.
One of the pieces that came out of that press release was that they are trying to use the success that they had from the Ultimate line of giving people their first entry in, and they're using this as a way to go into the bigger DC universe. Whereas there is the Absolute line that lives off on this pocket, but the bigger DCU, still has Superman, its own version of Superman and Batman. But these new characters are essentially your step into that, and Lobo is going to be a big deal.
Yeah,
big deal this year.
Huge book.
Oh man,
yeah, I'm really pumped about it. We've talked about it. We're going to talk about it a little bit later. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but I will say, there's been some analysis on, okay, so the Absolute books are hitting big, maybe not trickling down to some, like, say, creator-owned, like, original books. But here's the deal, guys. Okay, the generation coming in, like guys like our buddy Steve Anderson, right, who owns Third Eye, he's getting all these younger readers coming in. They're the readers who grew up on Raina Telgemeier, right, on Bone, right, on Dogman, and they grew up and started reading manga. And they're like, all right, they reached the age where they're in their 20s now. And they're like, man, what else is out there?
Right.
Absolute Batman. Batman's got an axe. Batman looks awesome. Joker's a monster. Like, this looks crazy. I got to check this out. And a lot of people have been talking about, well, when's that going to trickle down? This is the first step.
Yeah.
This expanding out. And it's also, like I said earlier, it's a gauntlet thrown. Like everybody else.
Yeah.
Don't you?
Marvel, start thinking about
Image, Dark Horse. I mean, Image, I will say Skybound right now too, with Battle Beast. It's it's a giant cat dude with a sword, just killing it right now. And if you like the show, it's awesome. But also, if all you've ever read is manga, and that's a gateway drug. So like, this is the stuff. This is what helps builds the road. So like, I'd say late 2026, early 2027, you're gonna really want to have a killer book set ready to go. So
absolutely, and the I'm sorry, Kyle talking about the classified submitted first marketing for his new venture. I'm so glad. Good. It did distract me there for a second. I will say that as you talk about like that Dogman generation, they're coming in. We see our friends at Skybound. They made a big Invincible announcement that's happening in March.
Yep.
Like people are really beginning to see this groundswell that we've already seen in the stores, right? We've seen this 20% increase. We're going to talk about that again later, but we're already seeing it. And these are new people. We got to get them here. We got to get them staying. We got to get them hooked. So they're coming in every week and becoming part of our ecosystem. So good job, DC. Keep it up,
dude.
and keep sending us stuff too, will you?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Let's get into our big feature. This is the 25 stories that define our industry in 2025. I hope you blocked out 3 hours, Joe. You ready to go? Because we're doing 25 of them, apparently.
Let's go. My family will have to wait for this.
All right. Well, let's do the first 5 and we'll see how it goes. Diamond declares bankruptcy. We have talked about, I will tell you, when we got into this conversation of what are we going to do this week, my biggest concern was we were going to do an entire show that was just encapsulating all of the things that we've been talking about every week, and so like what makes this different? So we wanted to dig in a little bit, but it feels like as we enter chapter 7 that we're finally coming in on the end of this saga, right? As you've mentioned earlier, the Game of Thrones of this feels like it's finally coming into a landing, but I mean, not a landing anybody likes.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. Like, again, been working this business 20 years. This is the most wild saga I've ever seen unfold. I wouldn't be placing bets that it's over yet.
That's a good point. Yeah,
we'll see. Just maybe it's nostalgia. I don't think so, but I want a successful Diamond. I want a bunch of successful distributors. But it seems I don't know how we get out of this one, boss. You know what I mean?
Well, let's talk about what got us here. So we wanted to encapsulate this, and I realized as I started to build some slides to encapsulate this entire story that it's really not something we can do in 5-10 minutes. So Brian and I have just been discussing it. I think we're going to try and put together some sort of little explainer video for all of this, but just to give it some structure. Right? Diamond Comics Distributors Inc. was and there's a war that happens between distributors back in the late 90s. A lot has been talked about there. We could get into that. That's a fascinating story in and of itself. They end up that whole drama is with essentially a monopoly over the distribution of single issue comics into comic shops. Then COVID happens in March of 2020. They have to shut down, and they are shut down for 7 weeks. Over the course of those 7 weeks, trust is broken. The risk of the fact that we have a single point of failure is exposed to everybody. And DC exits, taking their business in June to 2 major retailers. Eventually comes to 1 retailer. After that, the monopoly basically ends. That opens the floodgates. Marvel ends up moving to Penguin Random House. Nobody saw them getting involved in this. And then we see several others move to PRH and to Lunar. Then Diamond just starts declining. They lose market share. They have this massive warehouse in Olive Branch, Mississippi, that I understand is still there, that had robots and people walking around with headsets on that they were just like drones. It was crazy. And they had nothing to do with this warehouse or this structure. So they filed Chapter 11 in January of this year. Then we see a court approve a breakup. We see the assets sold to Universal and Distribution and Ad Populum. Yes, we are completely wiping past the fact that there was another buyer who looked like they won and then they were pulled back. Then essentially Diamond is over. Diamond now is owned by Ad Populum, but there is the monopoly is not there, and nobody else is really creating a new monopoly. We have not yet seen a distributor war where people are scooping up exclusives. It seems that everybody is now focused on either looking for new markets to push comics into, or really focusing in on their part of this, right? For Lunar, a lot of their stuff has to do with accuracy and shipping and the small details we were talking about earlier. Universal seems to be really focusing in on their service, like their communication. They see that as the way that they're going to distinguish themselves. Lunar is still, I think, primarily because of their deal with both DC and Image, is still kind of our primary distributor. They are able to carry a lot more and smaller publishers. We at Prana have Prana publishers, and then our friends at Massive have Massive Indies that essentially allow even smaller publishers to come in under the Lunar banner and be distributed. And the direct market is just changing. Everything is fragmenting. You talked about how there are new players on the board like Power Pulp. We're seeing that sort of fragmentation, but it is becoming down to like this sort of decentralized, I think more stable universe where
100%.
everything is now decentralized. We're getting better data as publishers. We're getting better access to the retailers and to the fans than we did at Diamond. Now, granted, there are things we're missing, right? There are things like the assets that Diamond built. A lot of them are not there anymore. We don't seemingly have some of the new store policies, and no one is acting as the bank of comics anymore, right? So, which might be good. We could have that debate as well. But yeah, it has been a wild year in this particular story. And I think and we look back on this year, and obviously this is the one that will change everything for us. So where do you think, when we jumped into this year, 2025, you and I are putting together, it's New Year's Eve 2025. You and I are putting together Recca for launching in May. When did you come in before the end of last 20?
Oh yeah. I came in October last year.
Yeah, that's right. Where do you see us when you hear this? Do you see the path ahead of us? Where do you think that this is going, and how would that change?
If you want a glimpse at the future, Jim Rugg, our friend of the show, created a zine called 1986. Collects all this stuff from 1986 in the market. Now, I'm not saying this for nostalgia, but the argument of the zine is like, this is the best year comics has had. And one thing that was really evident in that, and going over it, there's a bunch of distributors, right? Like
True.
Industries thrive with competition,
yes.
Right? I want people competing to be the best. I don't want a monopoly. I love Diamond. I had a great relationship with Diamond when I was working with Image Comics with them. But I will say they got complacent, and that led to where things are at. It's like, I want people competing. I want publishers competing. I want creators competing. We need distributors competing.
Yes.
100%.
Excellent. Oh, and thanks for whoever was so quick on the comments there.
Yeah.
Check that zine out. It is impressive.
Yeah.
Also the year that too many buttons. Also the year that Watchmen came out, the year that
100%.
Dark Knight Returns is out.
You had DC experimenting, doing a lot of creator forward stuff, and it helps everybody.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. I'm not looking I don't want Watchmen 2. I don't want the Dark Knight 2. I want everyone competing at the highest level.
Yeah.
Of craft, of business. You know what I mean? Like, to me, that's the future. It's not for nostalgia. It's like, that's the roadmap for the future. So
I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Somebody be careful. Somebody check in on Gabe Yoakum, because my guess is, but every time Joe starts talking like that, he goes through a wall. So awesome. Yeah, it's been a crazy wild, but we have to feel like we're in such a stronger place. Not only the store's doing well, but we're going to get into that too. Yeah. So as a part of that, I think all of that success, we've already talked about DC doing just a phenomenal job of bringing us the absolute line of bringing these compact editions, like this format alone, which allows us to do the future is compact edition, right? It allows all publishers to start participating in that, like, kind of post manga world. Has just been an incredible godsend. But that in and of itself was brave, right? The idea that we're going to take these things that we've reprinted 100 times. The stores are so angry that we're reprinting a Watchmen, for instance, that they
Yeah.
sell at $19.99, $24.99. They can sell it all day long.
Yeah.
But now you're going to make me, the only one available is $10.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that takes some bravery. They have to face that. And as a result, they've sold so many more. Right. It is that sort of, it's that entryway that we talked about earlier that they were able to bet on and made it happen. And as a result of that, we're seeing things like what we reported on this last week. Marvel has been the market leader in the direct market for, I don't even know. I don't know. It's better than 2 decades at this point.
Yeah. It's
Like every month I can find, every month of market share readings I've seen, Marvel has been ahead. And that's partially because they kind of tweak the numbers by putting out lots of covers, right? Because the extra covers sell more. And so if you normalize that, they were never as far away as it seemed. But DC, even with that, has been killing them. 300,000 units on, what was it? Absolute Batman 15, and still sold out.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Dude, I've got a great comics store out here, Captain Comics, Boise, Idaho. How you guys doing? I went the day after. They stock everything very highly. They keep Absolute Batman right on top. Sold out.
Yeah.
And issue 15.
I know. Yeah, it's phenomenal, but I think that they are to be commended. They made some really tough choices.
Yeah.
They allowed Scott Snyder, the super passionate fan that he is, to just to take that and run with it. They've done an amazing job. Okay. All right, hang on. I have to pull this up. Yes, Jeremy, we understand. Sold out at a distributor level does not mean that all your copies have sold out, but all the copies at Joe's LCS are sold out. I mean, come on, man. Also, yes, Gabe points out a raw copy of issue 1 for $300. That's crazy pants. I just found this. Do you guys think I can get anything for this? I got this at Comics Pro last year. This is the black and white version. Is that a thing? Is that something that people want? I don't know. Anyway,
That's cool.
All right. So yes, DC, thank you very much for bringing us this, because it has allowed comic shops to do incredibly well. This is our 3rd story, 4th, whatever. Comic shops we have seen just over and over and over again. We're seeing these. We keep hearing the word, the number 20%. I heard from a store, 2 months ago, something like that, said that they were having a 40% over last year increase.
Did you say
and
40?
40, and this is a 35-year-old store.
That's awesome.
Right? This is not like, this is an established business doing that kind of increase. We did some reporting from Comic Shop Assistant, and I think we're going to, I'm hoping, Django, I know you're out there, dude, let's do a state of the industry for 2025. You wanna? Where we go through and looked at we did a cohort of, I think it was just under 100 stores, and they were like 18% over last year on average, right? And some of them not doing as great because they had very different store models than the others. So the idea that we are hitting that average means that there were some that were just killing it. So, all right, count us in. You guys heard it. We're going to do a state of the industry. All right, we just put that together. See, this is how these things develop.
Classifieds, shows like this. We're making stuff happen. This is going.
It never ever stops. It's exhausting. So anyway, all of this to say, the comic shops just are massively growing, and I think it really comes down to that. Again, you rightfully pointed out that Dogman generation is coming in into the stores for the first time. They're getting their first jobs, right? So they have their first disposable income that they can spend on their own, and they can, learn about these community centers of the comic shops. It's their local bar. It's the place they go and hang out.
Yeah.
You know, and you once a week you get to go in and talk about comics and talk about the guy, and he's got the stuff sitting there waiting for you, and you feel special. And you know, if you don't already have a pull list, what's wrong with you? Go get it. Yeah.
Yeah. Make it happen.
Yeah. So comic shop's doing incredibly well. Now that said, we did have some closures, especially early in the year. We a couple of notable stores, the Dragon in Milton, the Dragon being Jen Haynes' store. Jen is a big friend of the show, and I believe we've had her on here. If not, we've definitely done an interview with her. Fat Jack's in Philly. You know, kind of notable stores closed. There was as I was looking up these, trying to figure out which ones were which ones had closed. I found a story from Rich. He likes at Bleeding Cool, likes to do the store closing, store opening.
Yeah.
He does that every once in a while. He wasn't had to go back to February in order to find a story like this. And it was something along the lines of 12 stores closed, 11 stores open, which is basically how it goes. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and we heard from Christina Merkler from Lunar Distribution here last week. 400 new accounts have opened this year. 400 new accounts. Incredible. Yeah. So, it's a good time, I think. If you've been always wanting to be a comic shop owner, it's not a bad time to be in. Yeah. I'm just saying, you know, do it right. Do it, run a real business, do all of the research that you need to do and make sure that you have enough money in the bank. But, you know, I don't see anything that is going to stop this anytime soon, short of a complete economic collapse, which, you know, knock wood, is not happening in this year. So, although who knows? We still have 2 weeks out of this year.
It's been a wild one. So tune in a couple of weeks, see how it turned out.
All right. I have to say, Blake, you killed this one. This is a great slide because blind bags were a thing this year. We learned that you put a comic book into a bag that nobody knows what's inside of it. They'll buy more than one. That's insane. Who knew?
Yeah.
This, by the way, is a joke about the bear. If you haven't watched the bear, you won't get this joke. So thank Blake for that, because he likes food-based humor. And we're just lucky that this was not a hot dog joke. So
yeah, I think blind bags are really cool. I think you know, when they're done best, like I really loved how, you know, talked about our friends at Skybound earlier. Like I liked how you really didn't know what was going on that one. Right, with Battle Beast, it could be like, it could be other covers, which is cool. I got one that was the next issue. Right?
Yeah,
I got one that was issue 2. You could get like the Spider-Man crossover, you know, like I think like that, but at its best is when it's totally like random. And I saw Marvel just did one with like Kevin Feige did a sketch, like it, like that's the secret. I think with these, it's not so much a secret, but like is really making it. I have no idea what's going to happen. And I think, I mean, not to critique anybody, but I do think that needs, well, maybe a little bit, but I do think it needs to be more. And here's just another variant cover, right? Here's something wild I didn't expect. I think is really what drives people in when it comes to story in comics, but also with initiatives like this. So,
well, and I think also, I mean, it's a couple of things. Obviously, the covers, it is a new way to sell alternative covers. Mark Spears, who's on here, he essentially hit every month of this year. He hit the market share list based solely on his books, right? And man, what an incredible success story he's been this year, but just based solely on the fact that people love his covers. But I do think you're right. It is going to be the people like Skybound who are students of the craft, right? Students of the direct market, of the medium, and understand what it is that fans are actually interested. I think that's what's going to make the distinguishing. I will say there are a couple people in our show chat who always want to call it, oh, the bubble's bursting, oh, blind bags are over, and I keep saying no, this is all far from over.
I mean, look,
for a while.
If it's the same boring stuff, like it's just like it's 2 random covers, this one's black and white, like okay, maybe, But if
Yeah.
you're going to do something wild that that people will genuinely don't expect, I think there's a lot of room for that.
I think so too, and I think that people are going to be really excited. And as long as live sales are going to be that like as valuable as they are to the stores, I think that we're really just going to be seeing these continue on, because these are kind of made for live sales. You know, they are or live web broadcast sales, because they give a little bit of mystery and a little bit of suspense to what is normally, I'm going to open this book and tell you what it is.
Yeah.
You know?
100%.
Yeah. So, hold on. Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. There's something in the chat room. Maybe we'll try and drop in. We'll get there. All right, this was your slide. I'm gonna let you take it, because in all the things that I could say predicting, if you told me at the beginning of this year that I was going to be not one, but twice talking about how Rob Liefeld is a mover and shaker. He has really had a year, hasn't he?
Dude, he has been killing it. Yeah, no, look, I know it's like on the bingo card, Joe mentions the Image Founders, but I'll say this, like Rob is absolutely killing it. And there's a lot to learn from this. There's two primary things. One is, if you're a comic book creator, you need to watch this guy's last 6 years. You need to see 2020, pencils down, start the podcast, starts communicating directly with comic book readers, and about his genuine love of comics. Like, Rob is not, how should I put this? It's not a show. Like, Rob loves comics. Like, one of my favorite things about Rob, if you go to his studio, in fact, it's on his show, he has a spinner rack full of key issues of X-Men that are like tattered and bagged and board. People are like, why don't you bag and board those? And he's like, because that's the way it was when I bought them. You know, this guy loves comics, and he communicates that like week after week on this podcast. Yeah. Then he starts doing live sales of direct-to-consumer books. Like I think Last Blood was one of them. And then there was a version of Youngblood that came out at San Diego Comic-Con, right? Of course, he did some like retailer exclusive covers when the book was coming back. But he started with communicating to comic book readers, doing the direct consumer for a good period of time. And then he comes in to comic book shops and gets the #1 Image book of the month. And yes, look, I know it's Rob Liefeld, big name. Yes, I know, creator of Deadpool. I get it, right? I'm not that guy. How do I emulate this? Like, just look at the model. I'm not saying you're going to have the same level of success he is, but I'm just saying, build your audience, communicate genuinely, focus on the work, and then, do a combination of direct to consumer and the direct market.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that's it, right? It is that sort of connection with the audience that he leaned all the way in on. I will say, if I have a critique, and maybe it's just his ability to find the thing that's going to get people talking, it's that engagement through all, no matter what. Like he had some real negative shit to say about comic shops, and when he was doing his direct to consumer thing, and that got everybody all riled up.
But you know what though? I gotta kind of defend him on this one. Like, I don't agree necessarily with everything he says, but he's not saying it for like to engage with the algorithm. Yeah. Like this is the dude's opinion, and he's got opinions, and they're genuine opinions. I think when people get turned off, and I don't like negativity in stuff that I watch, but like I just want genuine. Like, I don't like just blatant positivity either. Right. I want the genuine person, and so that's what I'll think. The other thing, by the way, I want to say, because we teed it up with the DC stuff. A lot of creators I've talked to have been like, okay, this is great news. Comic book stores are selling way more. Yeah. Absolute selling way more. Like, when's my creator own thing going to sell more? I'm not going to say, and I'm not going to tell anybody you're going to sell the same level that Rob's selling on this. But I will say, I do think this is like the crack in the dam.
I think so too. I think it was it's a natural progression. I mean, we talk about this a lot. I mean, we talked about it a lot on the show. We talk about it a lot in our day-to-day. This Dogman generation is coming in. They're coming in the comic shops for the first time. And what did I buy the first time I walked in the comic shop? Batman Death in the Family. Why? Because I'm old. But but that's just it. You come in for Batman. You love Batman. Batman. And then suddenly you learn, oh, wait, this writer is somebody that I like. Maybe I like the other stuff that he does, or this artist. Let's go find something else they've done. That's how you grow, and that's how these creator owns are going to be able to start riding this wave. But you're right, that wave comes after. It's not.
I'm just saying, if you don't have a genuine conversation with the readership out there, and also just focus on the work, folks. Yeah. Like, just focus on what you're doing. I know the running a magazine focuses on the work, so it's a little whatever.
Yeah.
But like communicate directly with your readership. Start that now. Like
Yes.
if like seriously, you got to get 2026 ready. You got to get early 2027 ready. Right.
Yeah.
And so, and you know, like I love Rob. I've worked with Rob. He gave me my start. So I'm obviously biased, but like I think this is the one to watch. And I think this is, and the model is the one to watch too. So
Absolutely. Engage. Two things. We say this a lot. Two things you need to focus on: the quality of the work,
Yep.
Your connection with your audience.
Yeah, 100%.
Everything else follows.
Yeah.
Everything else follows. So
yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you for bringing this up. I
Yeah.
got to tell you, if I'd also, you told me I was going to have an amazing dinner with Rob, I would have been, there's no way that would have been on my bingo card. So this has been quite the year. We should take a shot whenever somebody says Dogman Generation. You know what? You should definitely watch this once a week then, because I'm going to make sure that you get good and plastered.
It's the big story though. It really is.
is.
It's like this, and it's just starting.
Yes. Yeah.
It's just starting. Like they're just, and by the way, I did want to mention, so our friend Steve Anderson was talking to our other friend David Harper about this, and he was saying he's seeing the same kind of readership coming in for Youngblood, young 20-something-year-olds who are just excited about comics.
Yeah.
Get ready, folks. I'm telling you, I'm not promising anyone success, because they're going to be able to, like it's an art form and it's industry. There's a lot of failure too. Okay. But the best chance for success is coming out, I think, late 2026, early 2027.
100%. And then we did it. Look at that. You jumped in, man. And we got through. Before we do Brian's CTA and our own, I want to take a minute with you. I mean, honestly, I will say, just looking back on this year, working with you, absolute joy. It's been so good. We've done such really cool shit together this year that I'm really proud of.
Oh yeah.
And our team at Prana has done an amazing job of building something out of what really was. I mean, when people ask me what my company is, I'm like, I don't know. We like comics, and we talk about comics a lot, and people pay us. It's pretty nice. Yeah.
No, back at you, buddy. It's been a great year. It's been probably one of the most fun years I've had in comics. Like, it's been cool, and their little detour into video game land. It's been fun coming back and just like doing the con circuit again, and just seeing like it's a really exciting time, just as a reader.
Yeah.
Much less a dude who's helping out with editorial and direct market solutions. Anyway,
well, let's do the call to actions. All right, so we'll finish this thing up. Blake, thank you, buddy. Megan and Gabe, I know you guys are both in the chat. You have done an amazing job this year, and everybody who is on our Prana team. Was it 7 or 8 of you? Thank you so much for helping us build this company. Brian has done an amazing job. He does this every week. He does these webinars, and working with him is going to be crazy. So wait a minute. Sign up for a Webtoons account if you're told January. Oh yeah, well there you go. We're going to talk to somebody at Webtoons. I'm actually talking to them tomorrow. That's really cool. We're going to be coming up in the podcast. So yes. If you want to learn more about Managed Comics, please do go ahead and sign up, scan that QR code, and come in and look at the webinars that are happening. He's doing his best to build all of the features that you need for comic shops going forward. So please do set up. Also, we just had an announcement today about the negative burn return. Our buddy Joe Pruitt is a client of Prana, and we're helping them put out a campaign on Zoop, and that was announced today on Bleeding Cool. In fact, it's right here in the chat, so be sure to go check that out. I'm sorry, sometimes I push the button and somebody else pushes the button. It's just the way it happens. Okay, speaking of button pushing, Comics the Magazine. We've already talked.
Haven't heard yet.
If you haven't heard yet, there's a magazine coming out called Comics the Magazine. It is coming to your comic shops in March of this year through Lunar and Universal. It is going to be chock full of all the stuff that we love, right? A lot less. I don't know. Maybe we'll be talking a lot about the Dogman Generation, but it will be, yes, an enthusiastic magazine about comics. So please do sign up. and help us get this thing off the ground, because I think we all deserve to have a magazine about comics, don't you? All right.
I agree,
Look at that, man. We actually did it and came in early.
dude. Wow, look at
Seriously. Seriously. All right. Somebody help Felicia. She's gonna be a little schnockered.
Good
all
year.
right.
that. Yeah.
Any questions? Anybody? Any questions for this? Probably not.
I just want to say one thing on the Negative Burn thing. Like, if you've
Yeah.
never checked out Negative Burn, I really do think it's one of the most important anthologies that have existed. Like, it started in like the late 80s when there's run at Caliber. I will say my first I do a bit of a bias. My first published story wasn't an early Negative Burn. Don't recommend my story, but I do recommend the anthology.
Hold
I
on,
will
what?
say,
Really?
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, and Pruitt did that for a lot of guys. And then there's a lot of great work that if you've never checked it out, I highly recommend back this campaign. It's going to be packed full of good comics.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks so much. Thanks for coming on and helping me wrap up this year and doing it in a nice tight 45.
Yeah.
It was look at that. We did it. I'm impressed with us. For the rest of you, check us out. Pranadm.com. We have the bullet, but we also do a bunch of services. Joe and I work there along with Megan and Gabe, who were on, along with Blake, who is keeping this whole show on the tracks. So please check us out in the new year. And that coming up next week, we're going to look to the future. We're going to no, we're not going to put on headgear. I'm not making Johnny Carson jokes. That's going to get me canceled again. We are going to make some prognostications about what our industry is going to look like in 2026, and it's bound to be foolish. I was just reviewing. We had asked people to make predictions on one of our early shows, and yeah, they didn't. Well, some of them were pretty close. They were pretty interesting. All right, thanks so much, y'all. If you are a comics fan, thank you. If you're in a comic shop right now, thank you. Even if you're working there, if you're running it, if you're unloading boxes and you're going through the paperwork and you're putting books on shelves, thank you. If you are buying ads from us for Comics the Magazine, go at gabe@pranadm.com. Extra special thank you. If you're a creator who's just doing good work and engaging with your audience and doing the work, thank you.
Yeah.
If you're a publisher who's putting their work out, thank you. If you're a distributor, you can't thank you enough for keeping us all afloat. Basically, all of you this week, you saved comics. Congratulations. We really appreciate you doing that because, otherwise we got to go find something else to do. Blake, let's wrap this thing up early.